Forgiveness is so hard. As
Yeah.
I say in the book, it was very easy to forgive Chad. That was her boyfriend for a long time. Because I don't see that guy every day. I haven't
Yeah.
seen him in years, and I probably will never see him again. So it's very easy to forgive that kind of person. um, uh, Forgiving somebody who is in your house that you see every day is much more difficult, because you're getting new reasons to not forgive them every
Yeah.
day because
Right.
people are stupid and do selfish things. And the same for her to me. So, what does that look like on a practical level? That's a great question. Um, I think for me, when I sense any resentment, I have a very fertile heart for resentment. Um, I'm sure other people do too, but it grows quickly. It's like a greenhouse of resentment. Um, and so whenever I feel it growing, I try to talk about it. Like I don't,
Hmm.
because if you don't talk about it, that's like keeping the greenhouse closed, and it just grows and grows and grows. And when I say talk about it, I'm talking about in therapy, with your close friends, your support network. I know the phrase support network may be strange for some of the men listening, but if you don't have one of those, you will pay for it,
Yeah.
in loss and heartbreak and loneliness.
Yeah.
Um, so, talking about it with your therapist, with your friends, and with your partner. And so, if I'm not having, if I'm having, let's just say, well, I'll give you an example that's very recent. So, some of the events of the book, some of the biggest ones happened in the fall. And
Hmm.
so whenever the weather turns nice and down in Savannah, when it gets nice and cool in the fall, or kind of cool,
Yeah.
I immediately have like weird, like body triggering,
Hmm.
where I'm like, my brain knows something isn't right. And so like, this was like a couple of weeks ago. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, I mean, it's beautiful weather. I love college football. I love the fall. I've always loved the fall. Most people in the South do because it's when our weather turns tolerable. And but then I was like, why am I? I was just kind of in a funk, and I was like,
Hmm.
I think I'm in a funk right now because this is reminding me about some really really bad things that happened in my marriage. And that's not, I'm sure I was in a funk for a bunch of other reasons too, but that happened and it was hard to ignore. And if I had not talked to Lauren about that, it would have grown from just this little, seed of like kind of anger and memory and resentment. I'll just say memory, just a little
Yeah.
seed of memory, into a flower that starts to become bitter and resentful. And I can't believe she did this to me. And she did this to me. And now every time the weather turns nice, I'm going to be in a bad mood. Like, how awful is that? I used to love
Yeah.
fall.
Yeah.
Like it spirals out of control. This is just one
Right.
little example. And then, so I told her, I'm just in a funk. And I think this is why. And, wasn't a fight or anything. I just said something like, you know, um, we've had some tough falls in the
Hmm.
last few years. And I just think I'm remembering that. So sometimes it kind of sucks. Like just saying that, I think makes her, so that's automatically like fresh air. That's good. That feels
Yeah.
right. It feels
Right.
honest. I don't have to be fake. Because when you have that little resentment, then the fakeness starts to really make you feel, it like fuels the resentment because then you're mad about having to be
Yeah.
fake mad. It's
Right.
so, like, the human mind is so layered and strange and complex. And, but also telling her, now when I tell her, she has a couple of options at that point. She can get mad, right? Like,
Right.
gee, bringing this up again. Oh my Lord. So she has got to make space to be like, oh yeah, that did happen like 3 years ago.
Hmm.
Um, so like, that's totally normal that he's feeling weird about that.
Yeah.
It'll also, I think, might make her more, maybe a little kinder or gentler with me for the next couple of days.
Hmm.
Um, there's so many benefits to just, like, airing it out. So that's one little piece of forgiveness of, like, when you feel the resentment, it's been like, "No, that is not good. I'm gonna open up the doors here. I'm gonna pull it out, share it with somebody." And, um, and so that's just one little piece of it.